Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
You know, these days, I don't like to use that phrase because it makes me sound old, but these days, a lot of us are going through challenges, anxiety, depression. We got a lot going on, especially since COVID. And many of us, thankfully, gravitate toward those who can help, be it a counselor, therapist. We're going to look at this in a different way today and how this can change your life and maybe somebody that you're closely connected to in terms of therapy. Have you ever thought about music therapy? Who doesn't love music? I never knew there was a blend. I've heard of sound therapy. I'm wondering if this is the same thing in music therapy. I'm going to find out. She is the woman behind Black Mountain Music Therapy, and she's Antoinette Morrison, and she's with us today. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, Steve. Nice to meet you. It's actually Back Mountain, no L. Back Mountain Music Therapy.
Gotcha. All right, sort of like the backwoods.
That's right.
Oh, is that what you are? So you're in the
No, it's
oh,
just
you're not. Okay.
it's a nickname for the area that we're in.
Gotcha. But technically you're in Pennsylvania, Dallas, Pennsylvania area, right?
Correct.
Gotcha. Music therapy. I have a image of it. I've done sound therapy, which is the exchange of energy through music, vibration, and all of that. How do you define music therapy?
Well, I define the kind of music therapy we do as an interactive process.
Yeah.
So the person involved, whether it's a child, an adult, is actively involved in the process. They might be making music, they might be responding to it, moving to it, gesturing, vocalizing, using instruments. It depends on the person.
Wow. So you have I would assume an area, therapy area, studio, whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
and you work with people and they express themselves through music?
Yes. We also do some talking too. Depends on the
Sure.
person.
Sure. It's so reasonable to think that this can work for so many because music is so universal. What are your thoughts on music overall?
Well, I think especially in the way we work, sometimes our thoughts can be very clouded or can be influenced by where we think we are at the time. And music is a little bit more, I don't want to say abstract really, but we can we can touch the emotions really quickly without that thought process immediately when I think about how we work. And sometimes some of that thought process is influenced by our past or by how our bodies are functioning. And so we can kind of tap into where the client is right at that moment and start work
Hmm.
from where they're functioning right now.
What are some of the things that your music therapy can help people with?
Well, we work a lot with neurological issues, physical issues, and emotional issues. We help people with self-regulation, um, problem solving, communication, developing their thought, going back to, like areas that might have been restricted, maybe in
Hmm.
early childhood.
So, okay, so we're talking about even call them traumas, if you will, and all different types. I personally
Yes,
call them, there's the big T trauma. Something could be major, like a fire, car accident, but it could be little T traumas where you could have got bullied on the playground and that's made an impact in your life and you haven't moved past it or something similar.
exactly. Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Wow. How does music therapy help with that? And when I ask that question, I wonder, is it because of the syncopation of the music that it breaks a rhythm in your mind? It helps you get clarity because it's like the rock being thrown in the water and the ripples come out from the music. How does it actually work?
Well, in the way that we work in the developmental way, so we kind of connect with our client right where they're at. Your questions are sounding a little bit more geared toward, the question sounds a little bit more geared toward an adult mental health. So maybe some of the issues that they have, the symptomology is maybe fragmented thinking. And that might come out in, playing notes here and there. So I can work with that fragmented thinking in the music by setting up the music so we can start to play together in more of a communicative way. And over time, that fragmented thinking and the relationship combined, we can start to first put that fragmented thinking together into more elongated thought, and then possibly on some of the stuff that is coming up for them now, or how that their old responses are influencing what they're doing right now through language. Everybody's session is very different.
Sure.
It looks different. But a lot of times, like, how they're thinking comes directly out in how they're executing themselves in that musical relationship.
And please excuse my questions. I'm very excited because I love music. I believe in it. It is something that just is in all of us. And hearing how you can help people through this type of therapy is just like, whoa, this is what do you say to somebody who says to you, Antoinette, I can't play music. I don't have an ear for music. I can't do any of that. I don't even know a G from a D note.
That's simple. You don't need to have any music skill. Okay, everybody has musical ability. The elements of music are basic to our development: rhythm, phrasing, melody even. So when they come in, whatever they give to me, it's my job. I'm an improvisational music therapist. So I put whatever they give to me to some kind of improv. I'll look at how fast they move, their posture, what does their face look like? Where is their voice? And we kind of start from there. Typically, that's what a general session might start out looking like. Some people are not at all comfortable, especially it seems like if they've had some musical skill behind them. Now there's a performance anxiety in there. So we might have to come in and just talk first or share listening experiences to get comfortable with that whole performance aspect.
I don't have to worry about that. I'm horrible. I already know. And it's so ironic. I've been playing music on the radio professionally. I play music on the radio. That's it. I won't even tell you how many decades. I'll just say I literally got my first paycheck when I was 17, and I was already well into music before that, playing music, making up mixes and blah, 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 and all of that. But the laugh is I can't play, I just can't. Let me back up. I shouldn't say I can't. I don't have the huge desire to. And ironically, I can't remember lyrics. Like I know so many songs. I'm like Music Rain Man. You could throw a song to me. I could tell you what album it was, the intro, how long all of that, the year it came out, the peak position, on the charts. But I can't remember lyrics. But everybody's different. Everybody's got, music in their wheelhouse in a different form, right?
And I would assume if you started out that early, with music, there is something in the music that draws you. I mean, when you're in your studio and you start playing music and you can hear it, do you find yourself moving a little bit to the music possibly, or?
Sure.
Sure.
Or
very basic. Yeah.
It's healing. Or it's comfort. We'll put on songs that came out when we were kids, and it brings back not necessarily a memory, but it brings back a feeling or an emotion where music is comfort food in that regard. Or I'll grip onto something, a certain song with certain lyrics, and I'll play it over and over. Like, this song, there's a reason that it's resonating with me, and maybe this is for other people. And I'll play it over and over. I'm like, that I connect with that. And then I'll let it go after a week or two, and then it'll come back. But songs just drop out of the sky in my mind. It's weird. But But I'm fascinated how you're describing when somebody walks into your room, therapy area, studio, and you read them in terms of observing them, and then you connect it to improv improv music, essentially, right?
Sure, sure, sure. Like I'll improvise a tune. You know, sometimes I'll have somebody come in and maybe their posture's really low, everything's moving very slow, very quiet. So I'll mirror into the music, what that I improvise, what I'm seeing in front of me. And we'll just kind of get started from there. Maybe they won't even want to talk. Maybe that's just too threatening. But a little bit of movement to a slow rhythm is where we can kind of get started and connect first.
Hmm. I want to learn about your journey to this point musically. I have one other question.
Sure.
Is this like sound therapy? I don't know if you're familiar with sound therapy. It's connected to energy healing, where somebody could you would be in what's called a sound bath, where somebody plays um, it could be gongs, cymbals, triangle, wind chimes, whatever it might be. And it's the energy, the intent that's put into the playing of those instruments, and that's the energy that gets into somebody who helps heal them. Is it like that?
I don't know a ton about that. I'm sure that we share some elements
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
common. I think our what we do is a little bit more directly interactive. And of course,
Yes.
the rhythm, the vibration from music. I mean, music is not just an auditory experience. It's also, it can be a very physical experience. Some kids that can't take in information the way other people can. I set a child one time inside my baby grand piano, and whoa, she just came to life from that vibration,
Wow. Hmm.
bouncing back and forth. So I'm sure we share some elements. I think ours is a little bit more directly relatable
Yes.
with the individual.
And yes, and interactive. That's
Yes.
the key point here. But I'm on your page with the vibration totally. There's something about it. And it's my belief that everything is energy. We're energy. You're a different
Sure.
energy than I. You send energy when you say best wishes, for a great outcome on your surgery. You're sending energy. This is a different type. What's energy? Vibration. How did that term ever come up? Hey, good vibes. Yeah, vibration. And that's what music is. So I believe you're it's getting into somebody. I guess you look at it this way too, to your point. People who can't hear can benefit from music
Yes.
because of the vibration.
They absolutely can experience. I think when you're using the word vibration, probably in the way that I'm trained and the way I work, I might use a different language, but
Sure,
meaning the
sure.
same thing, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. So how did you get here? This whole, did you have an affinity for music from the beginning, and then therapy came, and then you blended the two? How did it work?
Yeah, I when I was very small, I guess I gravitated towards piano. So my parents gave me lessons all the way, from 5 on. And then when I had to pick a career, I knew I didn't want to perform or I didn't want to teach. And my identity, pretty much, I was very, very quiet in high school. That was my identity. I was the accompanist from 12 on for churches, for all the choirs. And somebody said music therapy, and it was like a
Mm,
light went on. And
wow.
the more I found out about it, the more it seemed to be me. I just kind of kept following those paths. I was with a improv music therapist in
Mm,
college, and he was there briefly. I found internships in that, and I just one thing followed another. I never intended to have my own business, but as there weren't a whole lot of music therapy jobs in the area,
mm.
um, and I really like this developmental way of working. It was kind of an accidental beginning, I guess, just listening to, kind of myself a little bit.
When you say those two words, I have to be honest with you. Music therapy. does something to me. Like I just feel like just what a wonderful, I feel a wonderful feeling inside. That's the only way I can describe it. Just it's because music is so wonderful and we're helping people with it.
Yeah, music is it moves, it's fluid, it moves over time, it's not stagnant.
Mm,
And yeah, I mean, we feel it, our emotions, our brain making sense of how our body responds to the environment. And so we can combine those two things together and meet a person without language,
yes.
with or without language.
Yeah. Well, how many times have you maybe put on music, song, or whatever in a different language? You have no idea what they're saying, but you're feeling something from it. And it
That's
could be just as good as understanding it.
you can kind of pick up their intent without
Yeah.
without knowing the language. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean that's how you work with nonverbal individuals too. I mean, you can see what's, you can kind of watch and pay attention, what's making them light up, what's shutting them down, what's their pace of movement. All those elements are in the music too.
Hmm. It's got to be magical when you work with somebody and let's say they've done a couple of sessions and then they play along with you and how they're just letting it all out and just kind of jamming with you. They might not have any music ability, but you're creating some kind of musical magic.
It really is cool sometimes when you're working with somebody that especially people you wouldn't expect that have had no musical training, no musical ability, and all of a sudden you play a phrase, you're getting to the end, and all of a sudden they hit that the one chord, and you think, where did that come from? How did they know?
Oh, wow. I gotcha. I want to say I see it, but no, I hear it in terms of what you just said. Are there lyrics involved in the music that you work with in terms of therapy from time to time?
Yeah, with different clients, it's very different. Yeah, we do use lyrics. Probably, probably not in the sense that you're thinking. I
Hmm,
don't often take a song and start talking about the song right away. That's not usually how we work to begin with.
sure.
Maybe later on, or even just depending on the age of the individual I'm working with, I may start singing to what I see or singing back sounds back and forth. It might not even be words. It might
Wow.
be, sounds.
Hmm.
But yeah, we do. We do.
Would you, it almost sounds like you might do some improv in terms of lyrics, maybe if it fits the therapy session.
Sure, sure.
Wow.
And sometimes, yeah, yeah, we do. Yeah.
Does this also help children and or adults that have verbal challenges? Um, maybe communication delays, things like that.
Yeah, I think that's where we started out
Oh,
working with
okay.
a lot of kids with communication issues, and we work. I work in a like a bottom up sense. So in development, we don't start out with language. We develop language, and a lot of things have to happen in our development before we can get to language. It's a higher thought process.
Sure.
So it's real easy in music, I think, to work with some of those, those pre-verbal areas. And then when you get to thought, you kind of understand how that even evolves.
Hmm. What is your, at this moment, what is your favorite artist and or song?
Um, Favorite artist and or song.
At
Oh,
this moment, because for me, it's a moving target, and I'm not talking about it has to
yes.
be a new song. It could be an old song. It doesn't matter what it is, but that's I feel that way. It's like I'm onto something for a little while. I don't know why, and then I'm onto something else. But anything for you?
Well, yeah, my choices are very fluid depending at the moment, depending on my mood. I think I just heard the song Rainbow by oh shoot. Uh Oh,
Old song, new song?
new song, new song.
Hmm.
Kelsey, I
Oh,
can't think.
Ballerini, she's
No,
a country singer.
country singer. Yes,
Uh,
yeah.
uh,
Really appealed to me. It was related to client stuff, and but I also really love uh, um, just piano music too. Not really classical, the new age stuff. Jim Brickman, George Winston. So my
I
uh,
got you.
tastes are all over.
Same. You do not want to be in a car with me because
Why?
the music will change every 14.3 seconds. It's just, I'm just over here. What about this? What about this? Hey, remember that song? Blah, 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 blah. Is it, I was thinking Kelsey, because I'm connected to a radio group and we do concerts, a lot of country concerts. Is it Casey, not Kelsey Musgraves? She is, I
Yes,
remember
yes. I'm
something.
sorry. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
I was thinking Kelsey, a different artist because she was at the venue last year. Interesting. So, yeah, I mean,
Wait,
you,
when you were saying about lyrics, I completely get you. Lyrics, titles. I have a hard time recalling exact
and,
names.
and sometimes I don't want to say I'm embarrassed because I'm proud of what I like and we need to have our own styles. But, the stuff is, I'm into a Neil Young song from an album he released like 4 or 5 months ago. And the song is actually an outtake from an older album. I don't run that deep, but I had to look what was going on. It's called You Got Love. And it's him playing an organ, this big organ. I don't know what kind it is. I just saw a YouTube video, almost like in an old church kind of organ, and he's
Okay.
playing a harmonica. That's it. And the lyrics are just like, I'm like, I can't explain it.
Oh,
It's called You
wow.
Got Love. Yeah, there's just something about it that just when you're going through challenges, you overcome them because you got love. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it could be you could insert love for anything. Let's say you're spiritual, you got God, you got love of yourself, you overcome these things. But that's my current jam. and then
Okay.
this, and then could be whatever. I'm into everything. It doesn't matter. How about live music? Do you like live music?
Oh, yeah. I love
Yeah.
live music. And sometimes with clients come, especially kids, parents will say to me, oh, they love this or they love that. And I'll play it and they act as if they've never heard it before. It's not an interactive part between them and myself, but oftentimes there's a reason that they love that. Like I had a kiddo I was working with years ago on the spectrum, and his dad told me, oh yeah, he loves headbanging type of music. He didn't really. What he really loved was the vibration that he could feel in the car with all
Yeah.
that incoming sound and
Yeah.
vibration.
And I
But
gotta
they love
imagine
the
too,
music.
might have probably been a few times there where a parent has said, "Yeah, they love this. They love freestyle, freestyle." I love it." What they probably like is watching their parent be into it as
So,
well.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
joining their parent in that, that yeah, sure,
exactly. Wow.
sure.
Um, I don't think you realize how you help people through what you do. You seem very modest, and I think what you do is wonderful.
Thank you. I I love what I do.
Yeah,
I enjoy myself.
yeah. And you've blended your love of music with the love of helping people and how again some people might not be verbal communication issues going through um you know traumas and all of that and how you're able to reel them in and help them connect in some ways that they I think that I don't know, I'm far from the expert, but the takeaway is music will always be in their lives. So now you've exposed them to a little bit different. And let's say it's a child that has challenges. They walk away, and let's say the next day they pick up a couple of pens, and now they're expressing themselves and connecting because of what they learned from you. It's magical. I think it's amazing.
It it does become like I think a resource for some of them. Hear of kids. I mostly use the piano, not exclusively, but mostly.
Sure.
They're having meltdowns and they have to go to another room in the school that they're in. They automatically put piano music on, because they know that, that's just associated for that child with a little
Yeah.
bit of calmness or
Yeah.
regulatory.
Music is, look at it this way. You're in the womb and you hear your mom's heartbeat. There's a rhythm. That could be music.
That is exactly that you're the way she walks, the way she breathes, you're taking all of that in. The sound of her voice, the
Sure.
melody of her voice.
Didn't even think of that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're exposed to it.
Yes, from the very beginning, all the elements
Exactly.
of development are right in the music.
I'm just thinking this now. I didn't think this prior. Yeah, it's just talking to you. I'm like, well, why is music so huge for us? But I'm thinking that it goes back to the beginning. And then as a child, you watch TV, you hear things, you pick up. So
Even
cool.
in the womb, the timbre of the sounds that you hear.
Yeah.
They're going to be, they're going to be coming in differently.
Think about that. You're hearing a heartbeat in the womb. You could hear the pumping of blood.
Yeah.
So there's a syncopated rhythm. It changes based on mom, what she's going through. Let's say, she doing a little exercise or whatever, it's going to change. Amazing. How does somebody learn about what you do, Antoinette?
Well, we have a website, backmountainmusictherapy.com, and we're all over the social media. But if anybody ever has questions, all of us love to talk about what we do. So they can always call us at 570-574-1707. And even if they're not sure they want services and just want to know more about how it specifically could help their loved one.
Right.
I love having those conversations.
Yeah, and I love you for being here today and spreading the word about this. You can find these podcasts anywhere on the planet at any time. And imagine somebody in another country learning, oh my God, I didn't know there was therapy through music. So appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.